Hello everyone and welcome. So as you've taken my class, hopefully if you've taken my CIT 130 class, we've talked about a game that we're working in the class. So at this point we've only developed, as you see, we've developed the main and we added our image. So I told you I was using Darth Vader, so I added Darth Vader to PNG, which has the different locations while he goes back, forward, left, right, X, Y, etc. And then we created this program which has some error messages, which is not a problem because the reason it has error messages is because these are methods that don't exist right now. So you open it, it goes nowhere. Not a big deal. So we'll get to that. So I'm not concerned about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my next program. So we have the main area, and then we have a sprite area that we're going to develop. And then we're also going to have an area that we're going to use for our character. So I think we will start with the sprite animation first. Okay, so let's do new class. Gonna do new class. Let's see, what do I want to do here? All right, do new class. I will call it SpriteAnimation. And I'll just hit that for now. Alright, so we need to move over some of our libraries. Let me see if I can use some of these guys. Here, we had application, intro. Some of these guys are different. So let's do this. Import, let me hit return. Import JavaFX.animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this for now. There we go. Paste that in there. And the next one is animation again, but another library, interpolator. There we go. And then we're going to have import JavaFX.animation.transition. Sort of like the thing that we did in class where it transitions with the color. JavaFX.geometry. And we'll do .rectangle. 2D. And then we'll import JavaFX.scene.image.image.view. And the reason we're doing image view is because we're adding that image of that character. And then we're going to do the fx dot utility dot duration, because we're using duration, which we also use that as well. Alright, so now we have the animation. We need to extend that to the transition because that's going to be involved. So we're going to do extends transition, and then we're going to have, let's see here, this guy doesn't like some. Let's see why he doesn't like that. It's probably because I don't have anything finished. So because see, it has that because there's going to be another sprite animation inside of here. So let's hit return here, and then it's going to be over probably somewhere in here. We're going to have a public sprite animation. Oops. Yeah, we're going to have parentheses. Oh, jeez. Can't hit anything. We're going to have that. And there's a reason why it's not working right now. So we'll get back to that. Let's get started here. All over the place. So now we need to declare some variables. So let's see here. We're going to have a private final image view. Image view. Alright. Then we're going to have a private final int account. We'll have a private final int columns for columns. We'll have a private, actually this one will be called integer offset x. We'll have, sorry, I get this Windows keyboard on a Mac computer and it's terrible. Offset y. Alright, cool. Let's see, we need to have height and width, so we'll have a private final, so it can't be changed, width, and then we'll have a private final and height. Alright, so we have height and width. We have this animation guy right here, so we need to have image view. You could call it something else. So you need to do comma because we're going to add it after each other. You could do it beside each other or over top each other. So I'm going to say duration. I'm going to have int count, int columns, int offset x. I have the integer for offset y. We're going to have width, I can't spell. We're going to have height. Alright, so let's close this and move this guy up closer. Alright, so now we're going to do a bracket here. And below it, we're going to do this dot image view equals image view. And then we're going to have this dot count equals count. This dot columns equals columns. This dot offset, all this is this, x equals offset x, which is what we're passing in. We're going to have this dot offset y equals offset y, because that's what we're using there. Now, like I said, you can name it something different so that you don't have to use this command. Let's do width will be equals width. This dot height equals height. What else? Alright, so now let's go a little bit different here when we do the duration, because you notice that the columns, these are integer values, so that's a little bit easier. So what we need to do now is we need to so for the duration we need to set up a method. Well, there's a method in the animation class. So when you use an animation class, it has other classes. So there's an animation. There is a method called set cycle duration. What it does, it's a variable that indicates the duration of one cycle of the code animation. So it's like the time that it plays from the time that it ends. So just think about it as a loop almost like. So we're going to use that guy. So let me type in that guy here. So method set cycle duration, and then we'll pass in our duration value. So if I actually highlight it and do open declaration, it will bring you in that class right here within that method. So it provides that information. We do the duration. I believe it has a description up here as well. So these, you could kind of scroll through here and look at this main class, and it has all this stuff in it, which is all these different methods. So that is what we're going to use here. I'm going to hit return. I am going to also use something called set cycle count, another one. We're going to pass in the animation dot indefinite. So in this one right here is another, it's in that same class, and this one is defines the like how many cycles is in your animation. So think of it, how many, like for example, if I pull up that Darth Vader again, all right, I'll pull him over here. So in this cycle here we have 16. So that's how many different positions that he could be in, up, down, left, right. So that's kind of what that means there. Make it indefinite, so it keeps going. Another one we're going to use the set interpolator, and we're going to pass in our interpolator. dot linear. Do that. Then we're going to say this dot image view dot set viewport, and then we're going to do new rectangle. I thought I was picking it up. Let's see here. We're going to have offset x, offset y, width, and height. Excellent. All right, so that right there, as you see, we're not doing too bad. We don't have any error messages yet, so that's good, except the guy at the top, but I'm not worried about him right now. All right, so now what we need to do is we have these offset x's and y's. We need to have our own little class for these guys here. So, or our own method, I'm sorry. So we're going to do public void set offset x, passing a value int x, going to do this dot offset x equals x. Now we need to do the same thing with y. So what I'm going to do is copy this guy here, paste him in there, but we're going to change that name. We're going to do offset y, we're going to pass in a y, we're going to do y, and we're going to do y. Boom. There you go. Alright, almost done. If I was in class, I'd be scrolling up. Alright, last but not least, we're going to do protect it, void, interpolate. We're passing a double value called frac for fraction. Alright, thought something was blown up. I'm going to do final integer index. This is where the geometry class comes in place. We're going to do a math.min for minimum integer. Oops. We're going to do math.floor, which is a very common calculation. We're going to do count times frac. Oops. Times, not that. And we're going to do count -1. Alright, so what happened here? It picked up floor division instead of floor. So I'm not sure why. Alright, there we go. Perfect. Alright. Now we're going to have final int x equals index percentage columns times width plus, oops, not equals, plus offset x. Okay, so we're picking up our x's and y's. So I'm going to copy this and make some changes. So I'm going to do copy, paste it. What we're going to do differently here is we have index percentage. We're going to do divide it by this time. We're going to make this a y, because when we do the percentage up here, we're talking about getting a remainder value. So we're going to do index divided by columns times height plus, we're going to change this, we're going to make that offset y. Alright. And now we have image view dot set viewport. We need to do a new rectangle 2D. Let's see here. We need to have x, y, width, and height passed in. Alright. Oh, we're missing a parentheses here. Alright, perfect. Maybe not. So what are we missing here? We got final image view dot set viewport, new rectangle 2D. Oh, this right here needs to be deleted off. because what I was doing, I was closing it before I got there. So this piece right here is for the SpriteAnimation. So as you notice, this guy was finally able to be done. So let's see if it opens up. It doesn't, but you know what was interesting is when we start writing this code, I'm going to copy this out here for a second. Actually, it was because we did that there. So that's good. So undo typing. Perfect. So I'm going to save this right here. And this right here is our SpriteAnimation. So we have one more video to talk about the character. So we'll do that next. Thanks for listening.